Let's be real, we've come a long way talking about mental health, but somehow, society still doesn't get it. We throw around terms like depression, anxiety, and trauma without truly understanding what they mean. People are told to just be strong, think positive, or snap out of it, as if mental illness is a choice. It's not. It's time to challenge the myths, crush the stigma, and finally talk about the truth behind what's really happening in our minds. Because if we want to conquer the world, we first have to conquer the way we think about mental health. The illusion of awareness. We think we understand mental health because we talk about it online, but awareness isn't understanding. Society's surface-level empathy often hides deep-rooted ignorance. We live in a time where everyone's talking about mental health on social media, in schools, even at work. It feels like progress, right? But here's the truth. Just because we're talking about it doesn't mean we actually understand it. Awareness is not the same as comprehension. A hashtag can't replace real empathy. And reposting an infographic doesn't mean we truly grasp what someone battling anxiety or depression goes through every single day. What's happening is this: we've made mental health a trend, not a transformation. People say check on your friends, but get uncomfortable when those friends open up about suicidal thoughts or panic attacks. We share quotes about self-care, but still shame people for taking mental health days. It's like society built a facade of support without learning what's behind it. Real understanding means listening without judgment, asking without assumptions, and being willing to sit with discomfort. It means recognizing that mental illness isn't just about feeling sad or being stressed. It's complex. It's biology, chemistry, environment, and experience all colliding in the human brain. The illusion of awareness is dangerous because it convinces us the job is done, but we're only scratching the surface. If we really want to make a difference, we have to move past performative empathy and into active compassion, where awareness becomes action and conversation becomes change. The power of misused language. Words like crazy, psycho, and OCD get thrown around casually, and they quietly reinforce stigma. The language we use shapes how people feel about seeking help. Have you ever noticed how casually we use mental health terms in everyday conversation? We say things like, "I'm so OCD about my desk," or "she's acting totally bipolar today." It sounds harmless, right? But every time we do that, we take real serious conditions, ones that people struggle with every day, and turn them into jokes, exaggerations, or personality quirks. And that's not just inaccurate, it's damaging. The words we use matter more than we realize. When someone constantly hears their illness being mocked or minimized, it makes them less likely to speak up, less likely to seek help. Language can be a bridge, or it can be a barrier, and too often it's become the latter. Think about it. If someone breaks a bone, nobody calls them dramatic for being in pain. But if someone says they're battling depression, suddenly people start to question it. Are you sure it's not just stress? That's the power of words shaping stigma. The way we talk about mental health directly impacts how people experience it. Changing that starts with small shifts. Instead of saying crazy, say overwhelmed. Instead of psycho, say struggling. These aren't just semantics, they're signs of respect. Because when we change our language, we change how we see people. It's time we stop letting careless words feed harmful stereotypes and start using language that heals, not hurts. Every word carries weight, and in conversations about mental health, that weight can either crush someone or help them rise. The strength misconception: mental illness is not weakness, yet we glorify toughing it out. Real strength is asking for help, setting boundaries, and admitting when you're not okay. Somewhere along the way, we started confusing emotional suppression with strength. We were taught that being strong means never crying, never showing fear, never admitting when something feels too heavy. But that's not strength, that's survival mode. And too many people are stuck there, pretending to be okay because they think that's what courage looks like. The truth is, asking for help takes more strength than pretending you don't need it. It takes guts to walk into therapy, to admit to your family that you're struggling, or to say to your friends, "I can't handle this alone." That's bravery. That's what resilience actually looks like, not pushing through the pain, but facing it head on. We glorify grind culture and call burnout ambition. We tell people to stay strong, when sometimes what they really need is permission to rest. Real strength isn't about being invincible, it's about being honest. It's having the courage to sit in your emotions without letting them define you, and let's be real, pretending to be fine doesn't protect anyone. It isolates you, it keeps you from healing. The strongest people I've ever met aren't the ones who never fall apart, they're the ones who learn how to rebuild after they do. It's time we rewrite what strength means, not silence, not stoicism, the invisible illness problem. If there's no cast or scar, people doubt it's real. Mental struggles don't always look dramatic, they're often silent, internal, and exhausting. One of the biggest challenges with mental health is that you can't always see it. If someone walks in with a cast, we instantly understand they're hurt. We offer help, sympathy, maybe even hold the door for them. But if someone walks in smiling while fighting a panic attack or battling depression, nobody notices. And that's what makes mental illness so misunderstood. It's invisible. People often expect visible proof of pain. If you're not crying, isolating, or visibly breaking down, they assume you're fine. But mental illness doesn't always look like what movies or media portray. Sometimes it's the person who never misses work. Sometimes it's the friend who's always making others laugh. Sometimes it's you holding it together on the outside while falling apart inside. This invisibility makes it easy for society to dismiss what it can't see. It's why people say things like, "But you don't look depressed," or "You're just overthinking it." They're trying to match invisible pain with visible signs, and when they can't, they assume it's not real. That misunderstanding can be devastating because it invalidates people who are already struggling to believe their pain matters. We have to start believing people even when there's no physical evidence. Compassion shouldn't depend on what we can see. Empathy means trusting someone's words as much as we would their wounds. The cultural and generational divide. Older generations label it as attention seeking, while younger ones normalize it, but both sides often miss the real science behind the struggle. Mental health isn't just a medical or emotional issue. It's cultural, generational, and deeply personal. For a lot of people, how they understand mental health depends on how they were raised. Maybe you grew up in a family where feelings weren't discussed. You were told to be grateful, pray more, or toughen up. That kind of mindset didn't come from cruelty, it came from survival. Older generations didn't have access to therapy, open conversations, or the language we have today. They pushed through pain because they had to, but that survival instinct often turned into silence. Now, younger generations are flipping the script. They're talking about trauma, therapy, and self-awareness openly, and that's powerful. But sometimes they clash with their parents or grandparents who don't see mental health the same way. What one generation calls being dramatic, another calls being honest, and that disconnect creates tension, misunderstanding, and too often shame. We can't fix this divide by blaming one side or another. The goal isn't to prove who's right, it's to bridge the gap. That starts with empathy on both sides. We need to understand that every generation handled pain the best way they knew how. And now we have a chance to do better, not by rejecting the past, but by learning from it. The path to real understanding change starts with education, empathy, and open dialogue. The more we talk with compassion, not judgment, the faster we break the cycle of misunderstanding. So, where do we go from here? We've talked about awareness, language, strength, invisibility, and the generational gap, but real change doesn't happen from knowing these things alone. It happens when we act on them. Understanding mental health isn't about memorizing symptoms or quoting facts. It's about empathy, choosing to see someone's pain without minimizing it, and listening not to reply, but to truly understand. We need to create spaces where people feel safe enough to be honest. That means schools that teach emotional intelligence alongside academics, workplaces that prioritize well-being instead of burnout, and families that respond with compassion instead of criticism. Real understanding grows when conversation replaces judgment and curiosity replaces assumption. And this isn't just for people struggling, it's for everyone. Because mental health affects all of us. When one person suffers silently, it ripples outward into relationships, communities, and generations. That's why we can't afford to treat mental health like a side issue anymore. It's the foundation for everything else: how we work, love, parent, and live. Change starts small. It's checking in on a friend and meaning it. It's asking, "How are you really?" and waiting for the real answer. It's educating yourself instead of assuming. These small acts create a culture where understanding becomes second nature, not an exception. We've come a long way in talking about mental health, but awareness without understanding is just noise. The real challenge is unlearning the myths, changing how we speak, and choosing compassion over judgment. Every time we listen, educate, and support someone struggling, we chip away at the stigma that's held society back for decades. So let's stop pretending we understand mental health and start doing the work to truly get it. Because the moment we replace misunderstanding with empathy, we don't just change minds, we change lives.